Hey everybody, and welcome back to X's4 Podcast, The Daily X, where we bring you guys news, information, and discussions on your favorite Marvel comics, most notably the X-Men. I'm Nico, and you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at NicoAction. That's NicoAction. Today, we're here to talk about Reptile #1. Now, this is an important title. It not only brings Reptile back into the foreground after a number of years and just minor appearances, but it represents a huge step forward in making sure that Latin characters are represented culturally. This is an incredible issue for anybody looking to further understand this character who saw prominence in his rise through the pages of Avengers The Initiative as well as Avengers Arena. Terry Blas does an incredible job shaping the characters and building a beautiful story. We hope you guys enjoy as much as we enjoyed making it. And if you do like it, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next segment of X's for Podcast. I am Rod. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Rod, the. And today we have with us the Ravenous Raven.
Hello, darlings. It's Raven, aka Dame Red Bento, and you can find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. I'm kind of all over the place. It's DameRedBento. And with us, we also have the incredibly naughty Nathan.
Ooh, naughty. Hello, it's Nathan. You can find me online on Twitter and Instagram at DazzlerAOA. And next we have the equally naughty Nico.
Hey guys, this is Nico Action. That's NicoAction on Instagram and Twitter. And yes, if you're wondering, of those actions.
Ooh.
And today we are talking about Reptile, issue #1.
The writer was Terry Blas with pencils by Enid Balam. The inker was Victor Olabaza with colorist Carlos Lopez. Of course, lettering by Virtual Calligraphy with Joe Sabino on duty this issue. Cover art by Paco Medina and Federico Blee. Plus, we have variant covers by the incredible Mike Del Mundo and Arnada Souza.
Nicely done.
That was perfect.
Every now and then break up my Cuban just a little bit.
And Nico, you said you knew everything about Reptile down to his birth. Let's give a little recap of him.
Yeah, so I love Reptile way too much. It's just one of the things that I do. He came in at exactly the right time in my fandom. And so what most people might not realize is Reptile is a character who has had a rather high profile, but highly underwhelming past. Now, for a character who had gotten so much attention from Marvel at the time of his initial launch, he's actually kind of faded into obscurity. The character has only had about 63 total appearances since his original creation way back in Avengers The Initiative featuring Reptile #1, there's a title, from 2009. Now, initially, the character was written by Christos Gage and an issue with pencils by Steve Yu. But what's great there is the cover artist was Humberto Ramos, so we are still seeing some amazing Latin representation in this title between Gage and Humberto. And then he would go on to appear in fan favorite Avengers Academy. Now, of that 63 appearances or 61 appearances of this character, 40-something are Avengers Academy. He would go on to have 18 appearances in the likes of Avengers Arena, plus some small tie-ins like Enter the Heroic Age, an issue of Thunderbolts that tied into Avengers Academy, as well as an issue of Avengers Solo, plus a brief stint hanging out with the Amazing Spider-Man. He would resurface in the pages of Iron Man 600, as well as a notable appearance in King in Black, Spider-Man #1 earlier this year by friend of the show, Jed McKay. So, considering the guy's only had one appearance in the last 3 years, this miniseries by a high-profile Latinx writer with an amazing art team is just such a gift because Reptile's just sort of disappeared for quite a while. Essentially, Reptile is an amazingly kind of a one-of-a-kind character. He was part of the entire more diversity initiative before there was a more diversity initiative. Like, Raven, were you even aware this character was a thing?
I had heard rumblings of this character, but I thought it was like something that they were going to work up to make a book in the future. I honestly thought that this was like sort of the first appearance, and that they had just been a background character that had occasionally popped up in other books, and this was what they were leading to eventually. But yeah, I didn't know that they had that many appearances and that they were like a reoccurring character in all these different books. I did not know that.
I see. That's what I love about the start of this Reptile #1 is that even if people haven't read, not really long history of Reptile, but the history that he did have so far, you didn't really have to. I mean, you should because they're good books. But Terry Blas updates you on basically everything that the kid has gone through, like between the relationships and experimentations and all the fights and being part of teams and breaking up and almost dying. You get all that in like a 2-page spread, and then you're caught up.
Now, Rod, how much of that had you had experience with? Are you like a big reptile guy, like a minor reptile guy, like a reptile-ish guy?
I'm a Reptile-ish guy because I have all the volumes of Avengers Academy. I haven't read all of it all the way through. I've been meaning to. It's on the back burner, but I read all of like the Arena and the aftermath of that. And Reptile always interests me because first of all, it's a Latinx character. We don't have that many in Marvel. And I just love dinosaurs. And we don't have that many dinosaur characters at all anyway. Like we have the evil one that likes to turn everybody into dinosaurs. Cetron. Sauron.
I was like, Sauron.
And then, like, who else do we have that really is like dinosaur in the Marvel universe?
And you know what? I'm going to say...
Stegman?
Ryan Stegman, if nothing else. But I'm going to say that, honestly, the only reason I'm going to entertain this sort of like, where's the dino rep, is because we do such a good job calling for overall representation that this one time, this level of absurdity makes so much sense. Yeah, no, we don't have, it's not like Beastmasters. We don't have enough dinosaurs here. It's a bummer.
Dinosaurs were all over the earth at one point, or supposedly. I believe so. I mean, we have the evidence. So it how do we not have more people, into like dinosaur powers? I mean, people get powers from the earth all the time, from explosions, from experiments, all that stuff from the earth, from sentinels and all that. That's how the mutants were technically created. How do we not have more dinosaur shit?
Yeah, we should have like 5 kids who get power cords that get to turn into dinosaurs.
Do we think it's the juvenilia of it? Do we think it's the possibility that because dinosaurs are something that's taught to children, and we so closely associate it with like a childish ideology? I mean, they were savage beasts that roamed the land for millions of fucking years. I'm not calling them kid stuff, but like we peddle dinosaurs at kids. So perhaps there's a fear that, like I've always thought the fact that they were able to make the Lantern Color Corps happen is the greatest thing ever, because they were like, what if crayons just started fucking fighting it out? You know what I mean? Like that's really what they did with the color. And I have all 9 rings, don't get me wrong, but like that's really what they said. They were like, what if your crayon box got into a real pissy fit with itself? And I wonder if the fear of being like, hey, super dinosaurs, guys, is that people are going to be like, those super dinosaurs are for kids. They're eating adults, but they're for kids.
Well, don't forget we have like a whole land where dinosaurs still exist. And every time they go into Savage Land, they...
I thought you meant Jurassic Park!
Yeah. Well, no, I was thinking, are we talking the RNC here? Like, are we making a political joke? Or
I'm talking about the famous Marvel place where dinosaurs still exist.
Nathan, I understood.
I was like, it's either a Republican thing or you're making a Democratic joke, because there is a Democratic joke when you're a Democrat in name only, they call you a dino. I was like, wait, what?
What about the Midwest?
I know, like,
whoa!
How did we jump this shark? Or this Megaton, I should say.
Okay, so there is a whole land where dinosaurs still exist called the Savage Land, okay?
Oh, okay.
Remember, we're an X-Men podcast, maybe.
This is brand new information.
And the X-Men have, been to Savage Land so many times. Magneto lived there for a while. That's where mutates came from. But whenever they go to the Savage Land, they always treat it as a fun, campy romp instead of, a really serious story.
Well, I mean, you have to recognize, exactly what Nico said, where, friggin' we do peddle this to kids, but also, a lot of our a lot of our movies and like TV shows back in like the 80s, late 90s, early 2000s, like Dinosaurs, was very much, again, pedaled towards kids. There was a lot of like comedies. There was a couple of cartoons that were dinosaur based, but they were all friendly dinosaurs and nice dinosaurs and kids dinosaurs. You know, between Bernie, Land Before Time, Dinosaurs, just all this other stuff. We peddled dinosaurs to nerds and small children, and not really too much in between. So
Well,
yeah,
even Beto's cousin Julian says, "Oh my God, you have the power that every kid would want to have to be any dinosaur." So
right?
they are at least acknowledging in there that, you know, dinos do tend to be aimed towards kids.
All right, well then let me ask a question. What dinosaur would everyone want to be? I would either want to be Tyrannosaurus Rex for, you know, so I could be like the Red Ranger, whatever. I have needs, or I would want to be a dinosaur like Ed Asner.
I want to say, really, Nico, because you are Latinx. How did you feel about this book being unapologetically, Latinx? They're speaking Spanish, they're not translating, they're talking with their family, they're showing the relationships. Like, how did you feel about all that?
All right, so this book had probably one of the most honest moments that I've ever read. You know when like you hear something and you're like, "Ah, that actually speaks my code," right? That has such an element of honesty to it. When they said that Disneyland is the Mexican Disneyland, that was the most honest motherfucking thing I have ever read in my entire life. And so like knowing Terry, having been lucky enough to sell alongside him at Comic Cons and like kind of gotten to like watch him become this amazing superstar, right? Like knowing him and knowing how hard he strives to make something authentic. I went into this expecting this to feel very like home to me. Not only was this going to be a Latinx experience, but it's going to be a Latinx experience from a voice I knew, I don't want to say intimately, but like, personally. But the thing about it that's amazing is, Terry immediately transports you to this Mexican family. And it's personal and it's one of a kind. And Lin-Manuel Miranda had just made the most amazing quote the other day where he was asked about the Latinx term debate, and he said, well, this is what happens when you try to define 32 unrelated countries with one fucking word. And he's like, when I was in college, the debate was, is it Latino or is it Hispanic? And now we understand that Hispanic was promoted because of Hispanic, and we understand that the etymology on the word is somewhat hateful. So, we don't go with that word anymore. And we're going to keep evolving it. But, part of the problem being a white nation, predominantly in terms of the enculturation and the design of the nation, is that it has a tendency to believe its interpretation of these things is correct. And, part of the problem is that Latinx, the X is a very American English idea standing for the unknown variable. And that's not how Spanish languages work. That's not how Latin languages work. And that's why, there's such a call for Latin instead of Latinx, but, then that just looks like Latin. And it looks like the same problem of defining 32 nations with one fucking term. So all of that said, my Latin isn't anybody else's Latin. Isn't it's such a one of a kind personal thing. So for me to be able to open this book and feel represented in a way that I don't feel alienated my Cuban identity was really special. It was really personal. It was like the comic book equivalent of One Day at a Time, which is the most honest Latinx experience in the history of television ever, bar none, ever in the history of the world. And this was opening that book. This was exactly that.
Good. I like to.
Amazing. Yay.
That is. I do want to ask. So I always say. So I say Latin more than Latinx because I want to say I'm not Latino. I'm not Latinx. I'm not Latin. I'm not any of that. So I want to make sure I'm saying the right thing.
Well, it's like the queer LGBTQIA debate. That's why, like, I always mess up when I say LGBTQIA because I always refer to us as the queer community. So you can't really. It's hard.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you say it with reverence and respect, and you say, if that is not the right term, I'm so sorry that term has offended you. Please tell me the term I should use to refer to your culture when I'm with you so that I can be, respectful and honor where you came from. As long as you always have that in your heart, which I know you do, you can't really misstep too badly as long as you're always ready to interact with a person about how they experience their culture over how you want to experience it. And that's really the heart of inclusion and diversity as a study of togetherness.
Yeah,
Good.
it's much like when you have the Black community or the African American community or people of color. Like, some people just think that those are all very much interchangeable, and they are super not. And certain people, like, they only want to be called Black, or they only want to be called African American, or they only want to be called, you know, a person of color, or, you know, whatever else. You have to be willing to be very flexible, because how I identify may not be how somebody else who looks like me identifies. So yeah, it's just like, what are you most comfortable with? Let's go with that. So yeah, but I loved this book in a lot of ways, because I do have a lot of you know, Latin friends, Mexican friends, friends from all over the place who have, you know, Latin backgrounds, and oh my god, it honestly felt like I was kind of sitting next to them and listening to a conversation. I'm like, holy shit, it's like, oh my god, yeah, these are my friends. I understand at least part of this interaction that's going on, because I've actually seen it in real life with my friends. So it was really nice opening that up and seeing that it felt really true to, you know, the diaspora.
I used to take the train from Oceanside to Anaheim, right? To get to Disneyland, right? So like, it felt to me like taking the train from Oceanside. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
that's what it felt like.
Yeah, dead on.
And I feel like that's what the magic of this first issue really hit, is that, you know, it wasn't all just action. We did have action more towards the end, and it was really drawn and colored well by the artist. But for most of the book, it's just a conversation. It's them talking. It's us getting to know Reptile, a character a lot of people probably didn't even know before this book even came out, because Avengers Academy came out a while ago. A lot of people didn't read that, unfortunately, or just forgot about him. So this really gave us a chance to see him as a character, see him around his family or around, you know, non-powered people. Well, so far, because, you know, as we see in the issue, that his, you know, his cousin might have powers after all. But before that, though, we get to see him really just interact with his family and how the character just is. This is really a good character finding issue, and I feel like all I saw was praise for this issue online, like how it stuck to its Spanish roots with not translating, and how everyone really got to know the character that didn't get to know him. And I feel like even Raven, you didn't know this character at all, and you said you loved this book and you like this character now. So I feel like it did its job.
Well, yeah, well, and in this particular comic book, I love the fact that they did not translate the Spanish at all, because I live here in California, and I actually live rather close to the Los Angeles area. So hearing Spanglish or hearing interjected bits of Spanish between people is so common, like so common, that you honestly pick up Spanish whether you want to or not, which I often want to, because I'm like, I gotta be able to talk to some of these people because I need certain things. And it was great hearing that, but also they went to one of my favorite places in Los Angeles, which is Santee Alley / the Fabric District. And yeah, this is my stomping ground. I might have had one or two things I would have changed in there, but that's only because I go to the Fabric District like on a very regular basis. So I'm just like, wait, you're not a short Guatemalan man who scales to the top of these. Is that even supposed to be like legally like, no, oh god, dude, don't die. Okay, he's got my fabric. Yay!
Actually, guys, real quick, we just got a user letter. One of our short Guatemalan listeners said, "Hey."
That was quick.
They're spying on us. We have stalkers now. We made it.
But no, dude, if you've ever been to Los Angeles, like the people who are running your front of house are usually Persian, Iranian, Jewish. Sometimes they are Latin, and you can very much tell that they are. But like the people who usually go and get your fabric are these tiny, lightweight. Usually, I can only tell because of the frickin' the accent. Yes, by now I've actually learned how to tell certain accents apart. But yeah, they're either usually Guadalajaran or Honduran or Guatemalan or Honduran. And oh my god, they scale these like 20-foot high scaffoldings packed with fabric and just bring them down out of nowhere. They dive into like the hidey holes between the bolts and come out with random things that you needed. It's amazing to watch, and that's why I love going to the Fabric District, because you can find anything there. But yeah, I loved the fact they had Santee Alley, because that is a main staple for that area. So this was like literally walking into my stomping grounds, and I loved it.
I want to say one of the things that I liked is Terry Blas bringing in a new villain that we don't know yet. Because I do like getting a lot of new villains. We get some new heroes. I want new villains as well. We get too many overused villains. And we don't see many villains have a rock ability. So that's really interesting. And it looks like it's a magic as well. And Nathan, one of the things I love about you is you like, I feel like, obscure, randomly powered characters. So how did you feel about this new villain?
Oh my god, I loved it. I loved the intrigue, the way that Terry Blas brought them in. I am hooked. I want to know how they knew exactly where Reptile was, like how he knows everything about him. Like, how does he know where his parents are, or does he really know where his parents are? You know, is it a supervillain trick, or is it one of his parents transformed? Like. Because like just the fact that he knew so much about them, I was like, oh my god. And those like rock creatures, like who doesn't fucking love a rock creature to like try to take something down?
I'm so sorry. Okay,
Nathan, it seems like your point is off to a kind of rocky start.
I think so.
I didn't mean to cut you off and stonewall you there. I'm sorry.
Man, this whole thing is just on the rocks right now.
Hey, nobody.
I know.
Died at Stonewall, y'all. Nobody died at Stonewall.
Hey, it is Pride Month. Happy Pride.
It is. Yay, happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride.
And I did mean to say that. It's June 1st. We're recording this. It's a gay book with a bunch of gay people. You know, it's a great time to be queer or LGBTQIA. I want everyone to feel LGBTQIA.
Pick a letter. We are come on in and join us.
That's because that's what it is. It's Pride Month, and everybody should feel free, no matter what your letter is. Just come on in. You know, no offense, not straight, but like,
that's not a letter. That's a condition.
Yeah, right. But no, and straight allies are always welcome. If the A is ally, always welcome. But Pride is about every letter being included. So that's not me being a dismissive alphabet soup hand wave.
The A is for asexual, aromantic aces.
Yeah.
Ally is the unspoken.
It's the unspoken A. It's the AU.
We love allies, but you're not part of the letters. But anyway, okay, so. When Reptile saves the little kid from being stoned to death, like that is like the best part of I love that. Like because like the way he uses his tail to like whap the rocks away, it's so amazing.
Such a good book. And it's built so well for like young adults and maybe even kids without being childish. I think that's what made me so freaking happy, because I'm like, I like the nitty-gritty adult stuff because I'm a nitty-gritty adult, but I also like seeing that there's stuff out there that younger readers can get into and not be necessarily exposed right away to the nitty-gritty stuff. I love this kind of stuff because it gets them excited about, comic books, and it eases them into the, oh my goodness, these wonderfully complex characters.
Yes, so, yeah. I love that. Like, there's some books that I'd love to read, like Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaurs. I'm sure it's a great book, but I am well out of the target demographic for it. I'm far too old and is written for a much younger reader. This book was obviously written to skew younger, but it wasn't written solely that way so that older readers can enjoy it. So I love it when they are able to do that in a book. It's a really amazing thing. I do did we think Beto's cousin Julian, was that Untucked reference? Is he supposed to be part of the LGBTQIA community, or?
Girl, if he's not a part of our community, I will eat my own damn jean shorts. Like, come on.
You could probably make a lot of money doing that, so make sure you video that, okay?
I definitely will.
The body language, the speech, I mean, the way his mannerisms,
the stuff that he designed, like just everything about him breeds wonderful young queer person.
I know, I love it. I was so happy to see that. I was like, oh my god, please don't let me be the only one to see that.
Right. And it gives me so much hope when I see something like that. Like, people don't understand how difficult it can be to be young and see absolutely zero representation of yourself, or when you see representation of yourself, it is in the most negative light, in, you know, that you're weak and that you can't do anything, you can't stand up, that you have no worth in this world. And instead of seeing all this anger and angst aimed at a queer-coded character, you see this loving, accepting family, and just,
I love
this is
that.
how they do. And that made me so happy on so many
Yes.
levels.
I'm so tired of the queer narrative being like, every movie out there is about, oh my god, here's a horrible coming out story. Like, that's what it seems like to me. I'm so tired of that, and I just want to see like this. I want to see a loving, accepting family just out there. Just they still love him. He's their family. Whatever. He's LGBTQIA. Who cares? Whatever. We still love you. You're still part of us.
Exactly. And I do like that. I don't know if they did this on purpose, but you know, when they were out and about, he was the one that was, you know, talking to everyone, getting the materials, you know, making the first initiative, getting the, you know, ice cream for them and everything. He wasn't the like meek and, you know, shy one. He was the more adversive one. It's probably the word that I'm using, right? Aversive?
Extrovert?
Extroverted,
yeah.
Extroverted one. Ooh, my vocabulary. So I don't know if that was on purpose but I mean, I really enjoyed that. You know, he looks like he's probably the youngest, but he is the more extroverted one. And hopefully we get a good backstory, or just not a tragic one. You know, we don't have to get that much more because the book's not about him, but just keep him happy.
Right.
Well, I hope he gets powers too, like his sister. So
that'd be cool.
I love the fact that he was coded, but they never had to say it.
Yes.
And that's the kind of representation I want to see, where you can say it without having to say it explicitly per se, and it's just like, it just is. You just exist. There's nothing noteworthy of you. You just exist. You're a part of the story, but it's also noteworthy because you're just part of the story. I'm like, yeah.
And you can express the gayness that way. Like, it's not about like, I'm here to tell you I just came out and I'm singing it to you because that's how gay I am. Like, it's
I'm gay
experience, right? It's, you know, I think back to like one of the touchstones of queer identity, right? There's like just a couple of shows every now and then that like hit gayness in like just the most artful way. And there's the episode of Golden Girls with Dorothy's friend Jean, and there's that incredible sequence where she says, you know, Blanche is not gay, because the whole confusing thing, and it's in B. Arthur's deep voice, so I always just hear Blanche is not gay, and like in that like resonant bravado kind of sound. And whenever a movie or TV show goes to pull back on the gayness of something, that's what I hear. Blah 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 is not gay. But when I need to think about a representation of gayness that was the gayest fucking thing that was so real to me, my entire world was changed, I think about the episode of Master of None, Thanksgiving, that Lena Waithe wrote about being a queer woman, and a queer woman of color. And what a landmark for television it was, that it won all of these awards. And when we think back to previous statements of gayness in fiction and gayness in media, we can also look at a specific episode of Designing Women. Now, I'm using Designing Women in particular because while it is a very subversive show in a lot of ways, it tried to be subversive among a conservative group, which is rarely as subversive as it is pointing to the problem. And one of the things it got very right was the creator, Linda Bloodsworth Thomas's mother, in real life had very sadly contracted AIDS from a blood transfusion she had during a surgery. And when she was going to visit her mother one day, she overheard a Southern debutante woman say, well, you know, that disease is killing all the right people. And that was a very common phrase to say about HIV in the 1980s. And Designing Women did an episode that is so gripping and real about a man coming to terms with his imminent death due to HIV, right? What a fucking straight person version of a gay thing, right? God!
But sorry.
Well, no, and then we have this, which is the gayest version of a gay thing. It's just normalized Drag Race, normalized untucked bitch, and that's like, that's Robbie, in honor of our sweet Robbie. Normalized untucked bitch. right? So that's just how I feel about it.
Okay, love that.
Oh,
Okay.
I love it so
So
much.
you talk about that designing women episode, but like like a counterpoint to that, like my favorite. Sorry, I know this is derailing it a little. The Golden Girls episode where Rose thinks she contracted HIV through that blood transfusion also made some really great points, and to have them come out and say, you know, AIDS isn't a bad person disease in the 80s, like that was just huge. So anyway, I'm sorry.
It was. I mean, it was very progressive at the time. I mean, even Golden Girls was not perfect, but at the time it was really revolutionary for people, the way people were thinking. And I feel like this book in itself will be that way for
Agreed.
comic books. I mean, it already is. It's already causing waves in the comic book era because it didn't translate. And a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but some people were like, well, I don't understand what that means. It should have translated for me. It's like, well, we have this thing called the internet, and it's a very
Right.
useful thing. You know, it hasn't been around for that long, but it exists. You know, you can, it's right there. You can translate any language
Shut
that
up. Wait.
exists.
I just realized what you guys have been saying. There's Spanish in this book, and I didn't even think twice about it. Oh my god!
Because you know
You're like,
Spanish.
yes, there is. Wait, what?
White people.
Oh, God.
Oh my god! I just
Oh.
got
But
it.
That brings
it's not even. It's not even like. It's very conversational Spanish. So it's not
Yeah.
even like.
Yeah.
It's not even like high level Spanish. So like,
No.
how have you not heard any of that by now? Like,
Yeah,
seriously.
but like even if you haven't, that brings me to my point is like, Nico, you didn't even notice
No,
that it was like, you didn't, because you know Spanish, you didn't know it was there. So Spanish is a universal, or should be more universal. It is a universal language. So
Yeah.
just because, you know, some people in America don't know it doesn't mean it automatically needs to be translated. If you want to know something and it's not the language you speak of, you go look it up. People can know all these languages from Lord of the Rings, like Elvish and all that does not exist. And they know it verbatim. They can study it. They know it. People know, even know Krakoan. You can look up Spanish words or Spanish sentence and know and translate it for yourself if you really want to know.
The
If you can
Rodcast has
speak,
spoken.
if you can, no, but he's dead right. If you can speak Uruk-hai, Elvish, Klingon, Romulan, and write in Gallifreyan.
Wait, there are people that actually speak Romulan.
Yes,
Sorry.
there are. There
Wow.
really, really are.
Right.
But like, if you can get invested in all of these fictional languages and whatnot, then looking up a couple of regular ass Spanish words that are basically conversational Spanish at that. Hello, welcome to Google Translate. Get off your ass and quit being proud of being monolinguistic in actual languages.
Like Macy Gray
Seriously.
sampled. Get up, get out, and do something.
Right, people have to remember, like, there is actually no official language in the U.S. Like, there's none. So English, Spanish, like, all of government forms are in all those languages because we decided not to do a universal language, which is great. We should be like that. We should be more accepting. We should be more open. Why don't we learn more languages and teach them younger to kids? I don't know.
Right. Well,
And
because we
Rod,
spent so much time trying to erase other languages.
Yeah, true.
And like Rod, you're from Texas, so like even though you're not a Latin man, you are from like, you know, pretty much like you're from Salina State, okay?
I am from Selena State, and we love Selena. I mean, just to go back a little bit in the
Dino's
beginning of
shirt.
the book,
Dino's
I
shirt.
Hello,
Dino's
sir.
shirt.
Hello.
I want that Selena sweatshirt, shirt, whatever it is. I want that. Because I mean, every Texan that isn't, you know, racist wants that shirt because it's Selena. Like, Selena is basically our state person. If you had
Oh my-
state people, I don't know,
And
but
they're
like,
the Dinos. Oh my god. Los Dinos. And he's the dino. Oh my god.
exactly. That's why it's so perfect. I love that Terry Blas incorporated that. I mean, he's, you know, lived in Texas, so he knows all about Selena and all that culture. And it was a thing that really pulled me into the book, being Texan. I mean, no, I'm not Latinx, but I am immersed in this culture. My fiance is Latinx. I mean, a lot of my childhood friends were Latinx, and I have Latinx coworkers, Latinx. I am immersed in this, and I was really appreciative seeing this like brought to the attention of a lot of people because, this is a new book for a lot of people. They picked it up because it's new, and we're getting this in the first issue. And I feel like a lot of people are being more exposed to that. People that live in more of the northern states where all you see is maybe like one Black person and mostly all white. Like, you're getting to know more of these cultures, and it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I teach in for those people familiar with like New Jersey and the New York area, I teach in Elizabeth and Newark and Camden, and like I teach in areas where the kids predominantly do know Spanish and speak it at home. And then I teach in some areas where like they look at me a little funny for parking my like 15-year-old car in the parking lot, and like people like smell the poverty on me and they shun me because I wind up in these really ritzy neighborhoods because that's just where I'm assigned to teach that time, right? And like there really are kids who, when I make some comment about being Cuban, they're like, "Oh, you're a Cuban? What's being a Cuban like?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? How don't you know anybody browner than me?"
I'm not a Cuban. I'm not a cigar. Jesus.
But like, I should not be the benchmark for non-white. That is a terrible decision.
Wow.
That is a very bad decision for your understanding of enculturation, my friends.
Right.
I mean, I definitely understand that as like a biracial person who is more light-skinned than anything. I can be mistaken for a lot of races. Some white people might even just see me as white. They might not look past just like the lighter skin and be like, "Oh, he's just tan." So I mean,
Yep.
and I understand, whatever, and it's their eyesight, but it's fine. But like even in like more white workspaces that I've been in, as soon as I say that I'm Black, they're like, "Oh my God, you're Black?" And then it's like a different thing. Then they ask me all these like Black specific kind of coded questions and get my opinion on these things.
Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles?
I mean, I literally have had that question asked me if I eat chicken and waffles, and I do, but like,
I've never touched the damn things. Somebody assumed because I was Black.
Right?
I just ate Jonah Chicken and Waffles last week.
Those are amazing. Like, shit, like, ask me about those. I'll tell you where to get them.
Chicken and waffles are amazing, but like, don't ask me just because I'm Black.
Right, exactly. No, they literally ended their sentence with, "Well, they have them in Compton and Hollywood, because you're Black." I'm like, I'm dead serious. I had to, like, my coworkers looked at him like he had lost his effing mind because this was my superior, and I turned around and walked out of the room because I was gonna get fired if I said anything. It was bad. But no, I get exactly what you're talking about right there.
See, that brings me all the way around back to my first point is there's no reason for people to be like that anymore, or even for this book. If you want to understand something, you want to understand what this character is saying in these small little bubbles that it's not like the whole book is in Spanish, then you can look it up. And you can do the research. There's no reason why you should have as many ignorant questions. I mean, some are going to slip out just because we're human and we make mistakes, but you should be better because the internet does exist and there's a plethora of information.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's apps you can like point your phone at something and it translates for you. So like there's no excuse.
Yeah,
like you don't even have to type it in. Like it'll look at the picture and say, "Oh, here's the translation right here."
Yet I don't think anybody's complained about the dinosaur names not being made easier. Nobody's like the Jurassic Park first one and that Jurassic Park third one.
Okay. Talking about that though, like I did love that Julian like had to tell Beto that there was this app that told him about dinosaurs. So he's like, "Why don't you be this dinosaur?" And he's like, "What?"
Oh my God. I loved it. I loved that so
That was so cute.
much.
Like, oh my God.
So that had me thinking if he can look at a dinosaur and kind of know what they're about and get into his brain in the gym information, he could turn into that dinosaur, right? So what if he's like a Beast Boy in DC? Like if he goes into space and there's like a reptilian type creature, can he turn into that creature because they are reptilian? Like dinosaurs are just reptiles, so you can turn into reptile things, right? So can he turn into these space reptile things? If he sees them.
Wait, dinosaurs
What
are
era
actually,
does it end?
Dinosaurs are actually the forerunners to birds, so they're closer to the ichthyo instead of the herpetology.
Well, hold on. True. I have to do a thing, and I'm going to out myself real hard here. I'm gonna put it all on the table, right? I have always and there's a I promise it's going somewhere. I have always been kind of like Venom, why? Right? But then I just finished my insane Jason Aaron Thor reread, and I'm like, okay, but now I'm obsessed with the All Black. Fuck. Okay. So, like, Rod is always talking about how incredible Donny Cates' Venom is. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. Okay. And I did it. So I've been reading a lot of Venom and King in Black. And so then it was pointed out to me that Reptile was in this King in Black Spider-Man by Jed MacKay. And so I went and took a look at that. And, you know, I don't think he turned into any like space dragons. I think he stayed kind of terrestrial, but you know, I'm with you because if they're pretty close to birds, I kind of want to see him turn into a freaky Shi'ar the Thing.
Oh my god, yes.
Yes.
But okay, back to the King in Black thing. When he turned into that, I don't know what the name of the dinosaur was, but the big sea dinosaur, I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. Like, that is an amazing power he has right there. But could he turn into Sauron? Like, I mean, he kind of does anyway, doesn't he?
He could essentially turn into Sauron, probably bigger than Sauron, actually.
Well, it depends on if he goes full dino or if he retains some of his humanoid features. Because he said when he goes full dino, he kind of loses part of his more logical thinking and becomes just very much more of the base creature. So he's really afraid to like go full dino, but I'm very sure that he could take on like very specific aspects of his physiognomy and features and whatnot. It's like the wings or, you know, like the head shape or that kind of thing. But Sauron still has like mutant powers on top of that.
Yeah,
so...
true.
Like, so does the amulet give him sort of like, if you think about Snowbird's powers, right, from Alpha Flight? So she was tied to the land of Canada, so she could only turn into animals that were born and based in Canada, right? So that's why she was able to turn into Sasquatch before she died, because he was created in Canada. So like, is that kind of like what Reptile's powers are, just like a mystical like narrowing of it?
I mean, at this point right now, it's more up in the air, and I feel like what's going to happen, especially since we got, you know, his cousin having the powers, and then you see that little sparkly in her chest as well. I feel like it's going to be more of a like family type thing, and that's why it chose him. And I feel like Terry Blas is going to explain more of the gem in this writing, because it's kind of been trying to being explored, you know, with Norman Osborn experimenting on him and doing this and doing that. They've come up with like some information, but nothing concrete and nothing just flat out saying you like what exactly it does, just like straightforward, there can't do anything else type of shit, you know, like it has potential to keep going.
Well, I've sort of...
Yeah, I like this. This seems to like it's going to this seems like it's going to reinvent Reptile the same way this America Chavez series is reinventing America Chavez. So I love this, and I can't wait to see where they position him.
I'm sort of wondering if this is going to be a lineage thing.
Ooh.
So what if the lineage of this crystal is actually tied to his family, and that's why you're seeing some of
that's what I would honestly love if
have some of that kind of sparkle show up. So could be a lineage thing.
It definitely could be. That's one of the things I would love is, you know, them becoming like sort of like a power based, you know, Latinx family team. Yes. It's like these three, maybe the other ones too, but especially these three kids themselves. I feel like that'd be really like a tight knit team. They could form their own little like badass superhero team.
So you're suggesting like a Latinx power pack in the style of the White Tiger family without any of the really sad, tragic, everybody kills the Latinos. Okay, I'm really into this. And I'm really on board, and I feel like America just found out that her sisters are kind of like half imaginary, so I feel like if Reptile is just suddenly getting like, you know, Zappy Zap and the gay one, I feel like
it's like it's Reptile and Zappy Zap and the gay one. Wow.
No, wow.
So I feel
what if they just take on different periods of quote unquote dinosaurs or extinct animals? So you got like Cretaceous and, you know, Cetaceous and all that.
A lot better than the gay one. So
okay, but what if the gay one can turn into just random cryptids? That would be amazing.
Oh my god,
Julian is his name for some.
Oh
what
my
if
goodness.
what if Julian can just turn into just random cryptids? That would be amazing. Like, oh.
I'm gonna be a
All right.
siren tonight.
I don't know where to go. So, like,
Oh.
do you have more? You're the in charge man.
Yeah.
I did have more. I was going to say I don't think the other two are really going to have that many because she has like expert like laser power craziness. So I don't think she's
Blasty
gonna.
blast.
Yeah, blasty blast. I don't think she's gonna turn dinosaur at all. And then the gay
Gay one.
one is going to is
For fuck's sake.
is very intelligent and is very like I'm going to design this and design that. Maybe that's part of his like allure and power, and he can.
Oh no. I'm sorry. If you make it if you make Julian the gay one a fashion designer is his powers, okay, I got a problem with that.
No, it's not going to be a fashion designer. I'm saying that he's going to be very intelligent, and he's very
Okay.
like and he can think of like ways to build things and all like that, not just fashion.
So like Forge, not Jumbo Carnation. I'm very on board with
Yes.
that.
Like Forge, not jump. Yes, because every team needs that smart person to lead them along and build them things and think of strategies and all of that. And I love Reptile, but he just doesn't seem like that type of character.
Oh,
So
totally.
Well, that'd be great if the gay one, Julian, turned out to be like the more evolved form of dinosaurs that we've finally discovered more about, where they have the feathers and they have where they have the more complicated sounds that they can make. It was like they had an entire like they said dinosaurs could have actually had like a full no like evolutionary. Oh, for fuck's sake! Like okay, so we used
the
to.
gay one have to have feathers, okay?
No. That's the whole thing. Is they have discovered that dinosaurs, the ones that we know of, the dinosaurs that we know of didn't have just bare skin. They actually had feathers. So I'd love to, like, if he has dinosaur powers as well, I would love to see him as the advanced level or the more evolutionarily forward dinosaurs that developed like even better feathers and more language and could hunt in packs and like coordinate and all that kind of stuff. So be smarter, and even if he goes full dinosaur, he doesn't lose himself like Reptile does.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it went around a little bit, but we got there, and I understand your point. I really do. So we will. Let's say our last. I want to say our last points on this because this has been such a great discussion. Nico, your last thoughts on Reptile #1, this fantastic issue.
I think one of the things that this issue did the best was it utilized an outdoor scenario that engaged me in why we were outdoors. One of the things that I think a lot of comics frequently struggle to do is figure out why that setting. And by putting it in this big open air kind of market, it was able to give it a cultural tie that also created a sense of something to lose, right? Not only is this a cultural landmark to his people, but it's a cultural his family, but it's a cultural landmark where people currently are and can get hurt. And instead of putting this at a mall, which would have felt very, okay, sure, I guess malls probably still exist somewhere, right? And instead of putting this at just like a park, there was a reason to care. And it's that sort of precision that for me kind of underlined what made this book so great. An attention to detail that said, if I'm going to do, because Terry, and even if you don't know Terry, if you're someone who knows about the struggle of a protected class or a minority class struggling to get their due, you know that every time that writer gets that chance, they think to themselves, right, but I might be the last time. I might be the last chance that a queer Latin man has to put a big touch on a major Latin character. Right. And with that in mind, knowing that Terry pretty much went, chancletas to the wall on this was really an incredible thing for him to do. I should have said cojones to the wall, but I was trying to be like delicate about it.
Have you ever caught a chancla? Trust me, that's not delicate.
Oh my God, I'm wearing them right now. So I really do feel like the attention to detail, the specificity of wanting to create the intimacy of familiarity for the audience, whether they are Latinx or not, is kind of the predominant strength of Terry's writing in general. But it shines so beautifully here on a character that you didn't realize you already loved. And I feel like this is one of the best entry issues we've had to a character in a really long time.
I would say this brought a character that I'd seen in titles, but maybe hadn't stood out to me as much, and brought him to the forefront in a way that I want more, I need more. I absolutely loved everything about his appearances here. And I'll be honest, when I read Avengers Academy, when I first started reading it, I just read it because Danny Moonstar showed up for a few issues. And I was like, oh, cool. I was like, oh, these kids are okay. I read Avengers Arena, which really had so many characters. It was really hard to do a focus on. But this book here makes me want to go back and read more. After reading this, I already went back and revisited the King in Black Spider-Man because it was so amazing. I want more. I want more. I want more of the family. I want more of Julian. I want him to get some powers too, just not like Eva and Reptile. Like, I want to know what is going on with the whole family. Not the key kid, but I want to know what is going on with the whole family. I love seeing the interactions. Yes, it was very specifically steeped in culture, but it had so many points that everybody can relate to on it. So I want more. I can't wait to see what's going on.
Yay!
Exactly. What about you, Raven?
Oh God, where do you even start? I loved this book because it's in my stomping grounds, and it's really great to see something outside of New York. Cough, every book in Marvel.
Why whenever they show Chicago and like when Kate Pride goes home, I'm like, yes.
Like it was really great because they did take their time to learn about the area. I know Santee Alley well. I know the La Brea tar pits well. It was great to like see that and really feel like you were kind of in the middle of all of that. So it really helped draw me in and really feel connected to these new characters. And I absolutely adored it, and I cannot wait for the next issue because, dang it, I want to see feathered dinosaurs.
Now I do too, kind of.
I would like to see Reptile turn into some feathered dinosaurs. He needs to go to the Google and research.
Right?
But I think he will. And what I really love about this book, well, first I want to say I do know Terry Blas. We've hung out in person, and I do love him. And I was excited for this book because of him and because I like Reptile as well. But I was like, I need to go into this book with a constructive mind because I do like Terry, but I don't want to cloud my judgment of this book. I need to read it as constructively as I do all the other books. And I have no qualms with this book. This book was really great. It was written well. The art was beautiful. It really showed a culture in a different light, and a positive light to so many different people. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just for that culture either. It's like Nathan said, for everybody. But one of my favorite things of this whole book was really seeing Reptile show off his powers in a way, because I can see him being like on the Avengers one day as he gets older and being a prominently like Latinx character on the Avengers with this, not stereotypical power would be amazing. It can be so like badass and strong, and I mean, shoot, why not? What the hell? He could even lead the Avengers one day. Like, let's do that. I could see him really evolving into his powers, pun intended, and just go anywhere with this because he was on the Avengers Academy. He should go that route, even though the Avengers is the most popular people that everybody likes. I want to see him go that route and really evolve and really stay around. Don't just go away. What I'm saying is, like, I hope this character stays around after these first 5 issues. I hope they don't just throw him under the ground again and let him fossilize until we get another 5 issues of him. Like, let's keep going after this.
Hey guys, if you like that cut from X's4 Podcast, you'll be sure to like some of our other materials. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out these other amazing videos here at X's4 Podcast.